Now that the summer holidays are here, I'm going to share some of my education experiences which could possibly help some other education professionals. Here's a quick disclaimer: I will never mention the area, school, teachers or pupils in any of my videos. So I've worked in over 10 schools. Some have been long term, some have been short term. And this experience was when I was in a school working in the SLT. So this happened fairly recently. The head would always encourage new members of staff to walk around the school and get a feel and a sense of the school's pupils, learning styles, etc. So I did that. All the teachers were aware, so they knew at least 2 weeks in advance that I was going to be dropping in. Now it was very, very informal. So I went into the classes in a particular key stage and I looked for a chair and I sat down and I spoke to the children. I was in the classes, I would say, for approximately 5 to 7 minutes. I didn't speak to any of the teachers because they were teaching the lesson, but if I did get an opportunity to speak to one of the children, I would just have a conversation with them about their learning. I'd maybe get them to show me their favourite piece of work, etc, etc. So if the children were off task or they weren't doing what they should have been doing or they hadn't got as much work done, I wouldn't ask them any questions. So I walked into the classroom with my post-it notes, wrote down 2 or 3 lines and then left. All in all, the children were lovely. The teachers seemed really pleasant. They were just getting on. They literally just carried on as normal. The teaching and learning was really good from what I could see from their books and from obviously what I saw in the lesson. And I left and that was it. So I was heading back to the staff room and I thought, oh, let me update the head on my morning. So I went over to the office and I spoke to the head. There on my morning, I said the children were really eager to learn. I saw some really good learning taking place. And this is when she told me that a particular member of staff was upset. And I said, is she okay? And she said, well, no. She said that she felt intimidated when you went into her room. So I just repeated, she felt intimidated when I went back into her room, and she said, yeah. And I said to her, okay, did she say what I did? And she said, well, she said you didn't do anything, it's just that you walked into the room and she felt intimidated by you. And she told me which class it was, and I had my post-it notes, so I just flipped through and I showed her what I'd written. It was all positive. It was one of the best, actually. I was flabbergasted because I was shocked that she was intimidated by me walking in and sitting down with the students. So the head and I were just looking at each other because I didn't know what to say because I clearly hadn't done anything apart from my job. So she said, maybe steer clear of that classroom for a bit. Steer clear of that classroom for a bit. What does that mean? So what did the head mean by steer clear? It's quite insulting, really. In my opinion, that was really poor leadership because she didn't even want to deal with the concerns or even unpick the situation. I mean, come on, you're the head. So I asked to have a conversation with the teacher, with the head in the room, to find out what was making her feel intimidated. And guess what the head's response was? Let's just leave it. Oh. Can you believe that? Let's just leave it.
Oh, come on.
So I respected her wishes and I did. Leave.
Oh, no.
And I left at the end of my contract. So 9 times out of 10, my contracts are extended. In this case, I finished my contract and left. Now, it could be one of 2 things. That member of staff is not used to SLT popping into her room. Or it could be that that member of staff is not used to seeing people like me in senior management positions. So sadly, my advice would be run for the hills. If you see red flags like that in your workplace, move on to another position when you feasibly can. Because it won't get better, and I'll tell you why. The problem isn't just the teacher who said they felt intimidated. The problem is the mindset of the head teacher. And in my opinion, that won't change anytime soon. Then, once you've left, write a letter to the LA or the trust outlining your experience professionally. It may not help you, but it will help the next person that they do that to. And believe you me, they will do it again. Personally, I don't think it's worth your time or your health explaining your feelings to a person who just doesn't get it. If the head can't see that there's a problem, no one will. You'll be just swimming against the tide. You'll get nowhere pretty quick. And your letter to the trust or the local authority should give you the closure that you need.